DC and Ngannou were to fight, based after what you've seen with Ngannou, would you favor him over DC, or do you think DC would be able to do enough with his wrestling?
I still take the DC because I know DC is smarter than Jorginho. I know that. Like, he knows if I get within range, I need to be grappling him. I don't need to be, because the reach advantage is just ridiculous between Ngannou and DC. So yeah, getting into a Rock'em Sock'em exchanges, that's not even an option for DC. So, and if he goes through with that game plan, he gets him on the ground, I view it going just like how he did Derek Lewis. Because Ngannou, like, I'm gonna tell y'all personally, you don't get that much better at wrestling. And I've taught him when I was able to take him down twice in our first fight. That was 2016. He's the same wrestler. You're not gonna get better at 31, 32, 33 at wrestling. That's why everyone who is good at wrestling outside of GS, he's an anomaly. Everyone else, you started in high school. You have to get beaten up, and he's not gonna, at this point in his life, with the ego he has, because we know he has ego, because he refuses to change anything that he works on. He's not going to go through what you have to go through in a wrestling room to get better. You have to get someone in there who's going to kick your ass every day, and then you get better. That's the only way to get better. You have to get beat up, and then you learn. He's not getting beat up on a wrestling mat. I know he's not. Who is he bringing in to out wrestle him? Nobody. He's just struggling. So I know DC is going to be the much better wrestler. I know you get him on the ground, he's going to look like a fish.
I just want to know what happened with Jones and Ngannou. It looked like it was going to go down, and then it didn't. So A, what happened? And B, can it still happen? Is this just part of the negotiation phase?
Listen, it can always still happen. One thing we have is tremendous amount of respect for Dana and the guys up there. Whenever the fans really want something to happen, it happens. So that being said, it can always happen. That's never a straight no. It's not. It can absolutely happen. The situation was just, like I don't want to get too much into it. It was pretty much Jon wants to fight Francis. He's looking to get compensated for it, and they were like, maybe not right now. It's not going to happen, and he just took it back. Sorry about that. He's just like, I can't believe it's not happening, and yeah, that's pretty much the way it went down. There's nothing more to it. So in terms of negotiations and whatnot, it was just a flat no.
So from the interview that Jon Jones did with John Morgan, it sounded like just right away it was about money. Not necessarily that they didn't want the matchup. They just didn't want to give Jon what Jon wanted, correct?
Yeah, very easily said. You said it perfectly. I think everybody wants the matchup. I think everybody wants to see that happen. It'd be crazy not to, right? Like, I don't know what person out there doesn't want to see Jon versus Francis at some point. I think that's fair.
Right. And so what fans and media are having trouble understanding is even Dana's admitted there are going to be times when the fighter has leverage. And yeah, they have to maybe write a bigger check than usual. And I would think that now with part of the international roster not available and they want to get some big fights going, do you have any idea why they just wouldn't relent and at least talk? I mean, to not even consider a bump in pay. I understand Jon Jones's point of view, and I also understand that there's two sides to the story, but I'm just guessing, like, what do you think led to them just, no, we're not going to give you any more?
I'm not going to answer for the UFC. That's a loaded question. I don't know why. You'd have to ask the UFC that question on why they just said no. I'm pretty sure you guys can get to Dana at some point. I have my own thoughts on what could be the reason, but I don't know that they're even valid. So I'm not going to put that out there and try to formulate something that may not even be real. So I'm not going to do that. If Dana says he's not ready to do the fight, there has to be a reason for it. I think that question needs to go to Dana and let Dana answer it to everybody.
So now Jon just reverts to being the UFC light heavyweight champion, and now we're presented with the deck of cards that has one faces on the card is Thiago Santos, Jan Blachowicz, Dominic Reyes, and I guess maybe even Glover Teixeira, who's won 4 in a row. where do you want to lead your client? I think you've always stated you want to make money for your guys. Is the Dominic rematch the most lucrative fight at this point, or is there another direction you guys are taking?
This is my own opinion. I'll let Jon at some point, address this when he's ready. But Jon has in his own words, and he said, Blachowicz is the next guy. To him, Jon has never shied away from the number one contender. He's only fought number one contenders his whole life. That's all he's been doing. So to say that, Reyes, Blachowicz, Teixeira, Santos, I believe in my eyes, it's all the same. Not one of them is going to excite you more than the other. Blachowicz maybe because he's one we haven't seen with Jon. We've seen Glover, we've seen Santos, and we've seen Reyes. Blachowicz is one that we haven't seen with Jon, and he's he carries a power a pop there. So that might be the one, and he's I believe rightfully the number one guy. And if that's the guy, then that's the guy. But I will never tell you guys Jon has this guy in mind other than what he's already said, and he's already said that it's Blachowicz. So I would probably go the Blachowicz route.
The punishment that the haters would like to see for Stipe? What am I missing here? So Stipe is being very reasonable, very upfront, and very forthcoming. It's in a pandemic. Rules in Ohio are pretty tough. He's a fireman. A little bit different. I mean, he's really got to adhere to this stuff. There's no room on that. So what is it that the people that are arguing he should be stripped really saying? Are they saying they want to see Ngannou fight Cormier? Are they saying if Ngannou fights Cormier, it has to be for a championship? And that's the only reason you'd strip Stipe. Does it have to be for a championship? And by the way, are we stripping Stipe so we're making this an undisputed championship? Or are we just doing an interim championship? When I think we could all agree that the winner of an Ngannou-Cormier fight, of course, is going to fight Stipe, particularly being the fact that they both already fought Stipe, and they're heads and shoulders the two best guys in the division. Like, wouldn't that be a little bit redundant? Do we have to make that for a belt? And if you're choosing to strip Stipe, if you just sit on that school of thought, what punishment do you think he's receiving? Certainly, let's say they go get on with it and they crown somebody else a champion. Obviously, when Stipe Miocic comes back, he goes and fights whoever that guy is. Can we all agree to that? Are we living that far in crazy land that we can't admit that? So if Stipe's next fight, while being champion, his next fight is for the championship, or if something weird happens in between and he returns and his next fight is for the world championship, what is the difference? I mean, in many ways, what is the difference? If you're digging in and saying to hell with the rules in Ohio and to hell with the excuses that Stipe has, okay. But what punishment is it that you think Stipe receives? That he's got to walk around for 3 months and doesn't get to say he's the champion? Even though he never lost the championship and two guys that he beat went and fought for the championship? I mean, do you see the problem with all of this? Not to mention, it just gives Stipe an opportunity to win another title. I mean, that's really a really weird thing. Matt Hughes did this. And Randy Couture even got into this for a little bit, where they were going out and they were defending championships and claiming to be like a 6-time world champion. And it's like, well, guys, it really doesn't work that way. And be careful what you're saying there. If you call yourself a 6-time world champion, that means that you had to have lost it 6 times. That's what that really means. You're best to win that thing 1 time and hold it for 5 years. That would be a real success story, not defending a championship multiple times and then calling that a new world championship. Now, we're getting lost in the semantics here, but in all fairness, it is very hard to go out and be a multiple-time world champion, particularly if you're very good. Because that would mean that you never lost.
If you are a fighter or someone who wants to start training in MMA, listen up. My name is Phil DeRue. I am the head performance coach of American Top Team. I train some of the elite MMA athletes in the world, such as Dustin Poirier, King Mo Lawal, Frankie Edgar, Junior Dos Santos, Edson Barbosa, and Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Going to MMA gyms or hiring a personal trainer can get extremely expensive over time. So if you want to get in shape and train using the exact program of the top MMA fighters for an affordable one-time price, check out Fight Ready in the description below. Use code MMA Central to get 20% off your final purchase. I hope to see you on the inside.